What is up? Welcome back to the Be Unexpected podcast with Jake Burnside and Wyatt Spalding. Today we got former Nebraska football player Garrett Nelson. Oh, lost him. He'll come back. So Jake, what did you like watching about Garrett Nelson on the show on this season?
Yeah,
Second, but he'll come back.
Yeah, he'll jump back in. I think Garrett Nelson was always just, even over the 4-year time period at Nebraska, he was always just a fiery, energetic guy, and seemed like I think he was a captain, so a huge leader on the not just defense but on the offensive side too, just leading the team. So yeah, it was just fun to watch, and someone you definitely, even if you weren't a huge Nebraska fan, you were pulling for.
Yeah, definitely, man. You could definitely tell, he was the leader of the team and just, always was there for his teammates. But on the field, too, he was always concerned about, winning. And, we don't know him personally, but we know him just as a player, and he just looked like he cared about his teammates. And I bet it was pretty hard, too. It was, everything you went through.
Right.
With just, the winning and the losing, mostly losing, but then also going through different coaches. Probably was pretty tough.
Yeah, I think just from an outside perspective and just seeing the media, could you imagine, through the losing seasons, from Frost to Mickey into the new coach, Matt Rule, he was always just there with the positive energy and the positive perspective. So yeah, he just seemed to be a great leader on the team, and I honestly was hoping he'd come back for another year. But you totally get, what he's doing, pursuing with the NFL and the opportunity to be drafted. And, yeah, to start his NFL career, because he's been in college for, 4 years. So maybe we'll just get the ball rolling.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully he comes back.
Yeah. He's got to
internet
come back.
connection, bro. You remember those days in college? You just, on the internet, you're just oh, my God, I got to send this paper, and my internet sucks.
Yeah, he would definitely not be hitting those deadlines if he had a paper due today.
Oh, no,
yeah,
bro.
It will be interesting to dive into his story about growing up in Scottsbluf. When you say I grew up in Scottsbluf, I wonder what you think. What do you think?
Oh man, I think because it's Class B town, right? So it's
right. I think it's Class B. Yep.
Yeah.
Tell me this works.
Oh, he's coming.
Please tell me this works.
He's back. Let's
go.
go.
You're way clearer now,
thank
man.
goodness. Okay. Woo!
We're just giving some, just talking about, Garrett Nelson's
We're just going with
career.
it, bro. You went out, it's all right, we got to keep this rolling. Let's just keep going, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, we're back.
Yeah.
All right. So now Garrett Nelson is back,
we're here.
people.
We're here.
He is
We're
back.
here. This is awesome.
And we can hear him and see him better.
Yeah.
So we're back on Be Unexpected with Garrett Nelson. And so, Garrett, thanks for joining the show.
Of course, for the third time. This is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get rolling, baby.
All right, man. Yeah, so Garrett, just tell us where you're from, where you grew up, and how you started your football career.
Yeah, man. I grew up in a little small cow town named Scottsbluf, Nebraska. My parents both, my dad wrestled at Nebraska and was a stud. Met my mom, and they moved back to Minnesota for a time. And he was a wrestling teacher and a wrestling teacher. He was a wrestling coach and a math teacher. And my mom was a sped teacher, and both of them decided. My dad got a call from John Center and asked him to be a financial advisor for a bank that he was starting in Western Nebraska. So they moved out there, and that's where they had me, and they've been there for 23 years now. So grew up there. There's more, like I said, there's more cows than people, and I have two older brothers. They both obviously introduced me into sports, and we made up games, and we were always outside playing, and we always had neighborhood kids. We had a group of them. We had bike gangs, and we were always doing something. And sports was definitely the main thing that we were doing. And they played football, so that I got introduced to that. And I don't remember, because some people remember a time where they're oh yeah, I fell in love with football, or I fell in love with this, but I don't even remember having that moment. It was just always constant presence. I never, I loved it. I loved doing it. I loved the first day of pads. I just, everything about it. I don't remember the day that it happened, but it was just, I think as soon as I picked up a football, I just kind of knew it was it. So Um, I started playing when I was a little young. I got kicked out of flag football because I kept tackling kids. So I was really, I was really excited to go up to. We had the Pee Wee circuit, or the Pee Wee football community that we had was called Carpenter Center, and that's where we had tackle football, and we had teams. And I remember that was my favorite day of the week was being able to go and play games at the sticker filled Carpenter Center field. And I loved it, man. I loved every second of it. Putting on pads and hitting and doing football, and it was I loved it from day one. So that's how I grew up, man. I obviously played different sports, played baseball, basketball, wrestled. Good. I swam for a little bit. I did just about everything, but I always loved football. It always came very natural to me, and yeah, I just and it obviously has brought me a long way, and I couldn't imagine or dreamed of the position I'm in right now because of it, and I'm really grateful.
Oh, that's awesome,
Yeah.
man.
Nice.
You don't hear people getting kicked out of flag football.
Right.
Yeah, I was so sad because I couldn't play football anymore. they're like, we can't have this kid here. This is terrible.
Oh,
Dangerous
man.
caution. Yeah.
He's hurting kids.
What
This is
was-
not good.
What was it like? So in Scottsbluf, you said more cows than people. What was it like on, Friday nights or at basketball games? Was that a cool environment, or was that the thing to do, or what was that like?
Yeah, we had a great community of people that loved coming out to high school football games and loved coming out to basketball games. We had also a very strong wrestling community, and people loved going to events because we were a really good high school. We were the farthest west, Class B school, I believe. We have a pretty decent sized student population. We have a pretty decent sized town for Nebraska. And I was very fortunate to be on state championship teams and be competing and in the playoffs all the time for my 4 years in football playing at Scottsbluf. And I remember it wasn't uncommon when we would play like a really like a McCook, or we would play like a Lexington or somebody like that, where we would have to get extra seats for our stadium, to put them alongside of it, because the visitor and the home the stadium stairs would be packed, so we'd have to get extra seating. And they were very passionate fans. We had a really good team. They really loved to come out and watch us play, and I'm just super fortunate to have that experience in high school, and it was awesome. I had my best high school friends that I got to play football with, and they were all phenomenal guys. And it's exactly what you love about growing up as a kid. It's Friday Night Lights, man. You get to go play with your best friend.
That's what you dream.
Yeah, it's the dream, dude. It's what all the movies are made out of, and that's kind of what I got to live for a little bit. So I was really fortunate. I loved it.
What lessons did you learn from either your siblings or your parents about hard work and putting in the work ethic towards your football career?
Yeah, I learned a lot from them. Like I said, my dad wrestled here, so that of itself, and he was a stud. I actually have him up on my wall right there. But he was a 2-time All-American and a Big 8 champ. Did really well for himself, and he grew up on a dairy farm in southeast Minnesota. And he lost his dad at a very young age in a car accident when he was a baby. So he grew up without one until she remarried and had a stepdad. And he had to clean out stalls at midnight, and he had to hand milk cows, and just the dairy farm manual labor life. That work ethic that he got from growing up and doing that definitely translated into just his life in general, but also just when he got to college and started wrestling, or when he was, being a father figure to me, or being my coach, or teaching me, life lessons through the same way that he learned was, did a ton of manual labor, had a ton of jobs, outside laying stone, doing ranch. I was a ranch hand. I was a farm hand, just around our house, transplanting trees, or levering dirt, or building an embankment, or, like I said, with laying stone and stuff like that. That was instilled in me very early as a child. And but and then from my mom, she's well, one, she's my biggest fan because I
Right.
remember there's a bunch of videos when I wrestled in state. She was up, the camera would like go up to her in the crowd, and she would be like doing the double leg with me and like trying to pin the guy too, and
Yeah.
it was hilarious. But she grew up in Cozad, Nebraska, and her dad, Ken Parrish, he coached against Barry Alvarez, and then he coached against Scott Frost's dad, Larry. So she came from a family that loved sports. She was a stud in high school. She was just like this little 5'2" Tasmanian devil, like just little spark plug running around, dude. She loved sports, and she was just she didn't want to pursue it in college, and she was probably just a little bit too small. But yeah, she met my dad, and um, they've taught me so many lessons of humility, and how to enjoy sports and finding my passion. And my mom, she went to nursing school while she was getting a real estate license. She built her own real estate business, and on top of being a mom of three boys. And like I said, my dad with the wrestling and the farming background, that kind of culminated into my two older brothers, where I was a middle schooler, and they were one day I was playing sports and having fun with my friends, just doing normal kid stuff. And I remember when they started getting a little bit older, they're like, "Hey, like you're coming to the weight room with us." Like I was pretty early
Yeah.
on. They're like, "You're not, we're gonna teach you how to lift. We're gonna teach you how to not pretty much be a jackass. Pretty much, they teaching me hard lessons."
Yeah.
So that pretty early on, I was up, at 6 in the morning, going to the weight room with my brothers and learning how to lift and work out, and teaching me hard lessons of doing everything correctly, being disciplined, not complaining, putting in extra work, doing more than others, so you can get ahead. That kind of was consistent with what my mom and dad were teaching me, and they wanted to make sure as the little brother I knew that too. So I'm blessed with two amazing older brothers that have valued really good things in life, and that taught me. So they, like I said early on, they started doing that, and as I got older, I watched how they did their life in high school, or how they were disciplined in this, or how they handled sports, and taking that from them, and also my parents of when small adversities hit, or I was going through a hard time, or if something happened, that discipline and just the lessons I learned from all of them just kind of kept driving me into where I'm in now. So I've been very fortunate.
Nice. Sounds like, from your brothers, I can imagine growing up with two older brothers,
Yeah.
and then your parents just being great influence. So as you got older and you got stronger and you became more of a force in wrestling, obviously football, what was that like growing into like an all-state athlete, and then the recruitment process? I'm sure that was pretty, I don't know, wild. I don't know. So explain like what that was like in high school, like maturing and then becoming one of the best players in the state.
Yeah. So like I said, going to the weight room and being around sports all the time, my brothers, my parents coming from a sports background, that was always present. I didn't know where it would take me. I just kind of I knew my dad wrestled at Nebraska, and oh man, that sounds pretty cool. Like, how he talks about it and the stories he tells, and, being around his old teammates and his best friends, and how they all have, as a little kid, just it was a very palpable, like gut feeling of camaraderie, and man, the memories that they have, and how fond they look at them, and having that kind of seed planted of that feeling of like, oh my gosh, man, that sounds like the coolest thing in the world to go do that. And I always having that seed planted, and I loved it. I loved being out there every day. There was nothing else in my life that I enjoyed that much, and that I kind of just followed that, going to, I think around middle school, like I said, when I started lifting, and I was going into high school, My oldest brother Taylor, he was a junior when he went to boot camp for the U.S. Army, and my parents had to sign off on it because he wasn't 18 yet, and he had to miss like 3 weeks of his senior year in the beginning of it to finish boot camp. But he started doing that, and I was like, okay, like that's definitely a path I could see myself doing. Just kind of trying to figure out as a young kid what I kind of want to do, and so for a while, for probably about a year or two, probably into my freshman year of high school, that was definitely an option for me, and I was definitely looking into that. Um, but at around eighth grade, like I said, with my main feelings, my main options, the things that I enjoyed the most, told my dad, Dad, I think I want to become a Division I athlete. I didn't know whether it'd be football or wrestling. I thought it was going to be wrestling because I thought everybody in like pro football or college football at every position was like 6'6" and like 285, and I was like, I'm way too small. Like there's no shot.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
but come to find out, there's like different sizes and different people, and I'm a larger guy, so I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny, but
Nice.
yeah, I was like, I think I want to become a Division I athlete. I was like, okay. And I was like, I think I want to wrestle like you did. He was like, okay, well, we're gonna have to prove that. So I was 15. He drove me to Lincoln, Nebraska, and he signed me up for this 2 week intensive wrestling camp. And you
wow.
have 3 practices in the middle of the day. You have a conditioning in the morning, and you have 2 duels at night. And you do it for 2 weeks. You stay at the Abel and Sandoz dorms. You're on your own with everything. I've never lived alone by until that point in my life. I'd never done anything alone. I always had my brothers or my parents to help me. And first time living alone, and just kind of growing up quickly. And it was probably the hardest thing, one of the harder things I've done in my life. You know, I was when I was 15. I never wrestled a high school match, and all these guys were in this camp were either state champions, multiple state champions, national champions. They were from elite wrestling programs, and I'm coming in. I've never wrestled a high school match, and I'm 15 years old, and I'm a bigger
Wow.
15-year old. I'm in the heavier weight, 220 heavyweight range. So I had to train with those guys that are a ton bigger than me. They're much more experienced. They're much older, and I had to condition with them. Like I had to do buddy runs and carry those guys and run
Wow.
up the Memorial Stadium stairs. I had to drill with them every day. So yeah, it's pretty. Long story short, I pretty much just got my ass beat every day
Right.
Yeah.
for 2 weeks. And I was last in every conditioning thing. I didn't win a single match or drill session in those 2 weeks. I didn't win. I think I won one dual match. Like it was humbling for sure, I guess, and it is a great word to use. And then that last day we did a 4.5 mile run, and then we ran into Memorial Stadium and ran every stadium stairs, and that was the end of the camp. It was called the Freedom Run. So we got done with that, and we well, actually, sorry, we did that, and we had 2 more duels that night. So that last duel, that last match, I got half my ear torn off, and
Mm.
during the match, and I was like, oh man, what? So we wrapped it up, and went to bed that night, and I was leaving tomorrow, and I remember waking up, and my face was like looked like I had a baseball in my face, and I got
Wow.
Oh,
I got a infection in it, and I got my ears all messed up, my face is swollen, and I come down, and my dad, I told him about the story obviously, and he was like, yeah, I didn't really know what would happen. Like this was kind of the like to see if he really wanted to do it or if he was just kind of kidding. And I remember coming down, and he said I had the biggest smile on my face, and I said it was awesome, and I had a great time. So that's kind of when he knew that I had what it took
Wow.
to go be a Division I athlete. And as I progressed in high school, freshmen weren't allowed on the varsity football team, so I played on the freshman team, did really well. As a freshman, I wrestled and didn't do as well, and kind of still wanted to wrestle. Obviously, that was what I wanted to do. So that whole summer and that whole year, I wrestled freestyle. I wrestled in the summer in the freestyle and Greco tournaments. I wrestled folk style. I went to a bunch of different national tournaments with my dad. He was my coach and wrestling partner, and just trying to get better. And sophomore year, first year on varsity football, and Coach Benson, he was my head high school football coach, and he was to this day my favorite, one of my, if not my favorite coach I've ever had in my life. Um, that year I was like I said, there's just being myself, and my love for football just kind of exuded out of me, and he saw that, and I remember reading something that he wrote. He said he told his other coaches, like, we just have to get this kid on the field somewhere. Like, he cannot come off the
Mhm.
field. Uh, he saw something special in me, and I was just, being myself. I was holding bags. I was hustling everywhere. I was just, doing everything that I taught from my brothers and my mom and dad. And, um, he saw something special in me, and he told me that, and had a great sophomore season on my first season on varsity. And I can't remember if we made it to the second round of playoffs or something like that, but it was a pretty good year, and kind of established myself as a player. And then my sophomore year, I did a lot better at wrestling that year and made it to state. Didn't medal or anything but had a good record and made it to state, and kind of got that first taste of it. And then that sophomore summer, I kind of switched gears, and I told my dad, I was like, man, I really love football, man. Like, I think I think you can go do this football thing. And he goes, I think you can too. And I was like, well, how? Like, I don't, you were my only avenue
Mhm.
to, this pantheon, Nebraska Division I Power Five schools, and it was wrestling. Like, how there's so much more with football that I don't even know.
Mhm.
And so I started working with this speed and strength trainer. I started, diving into the schematics and everything of my position and the technique of my position, trying to master it, and understand my job and where I fit at a college level. Um, Looking at, watching more professional and college game. We loved college football, watching more professional games, and that sophomore summer, obviously nobody. I think the last time somebody got a Power Five Division I scholarship like that side of my state of Nebraska was like 60 something years ago, and it was actually out of Scottsbluf. His
Wow.
name was Frosty Anderson, and I was like, well, no, I don't think a lot of people recruit out here, so how do we how do we go do this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
same thing with like my freshman year with wrestling. We went to a bunch of football camps. We went to
Mhm.
Wisconsin, Texas, St. Louis. We went to Nebraska. We went to Wyoming. We went everywhere to try and get recruited, to get noticed somewhere. And I did walk-ups to places. I just trying to get noticed somewhere.
Mhm.
Um, and my last camp of the summer was Nebraska, and I did two camps that day. That second camp, this was when Mike Riley was still around. This is my second
Right.
camp of the day. Got done, and I had a really good camp. I did really well in one-on-ones and different drills like that. And Bob Diaco, the defensive coordinator at the time, he was like, "Hey, let me come talk to you." I was like, "Okay." So he was sitting there, and he was I can't even remember what he was saying, but he was just saying, "We got to look at your transcript for your school. You seem like a good kid, yada yada yada." And then I remember he stopped, and he was like, "I think, but other than that, I think we're going to give you a scholarship to play at Nebraska." And I like blacked out. I started crying. I like went, and my
Yeah.
grandpa was there. My mom's dad, the one that coached against Larry and Barry. Um,
Mhm.
I start crying, and my dad keeps talking to him. I run over to my grandpa. I give him a hug, and I'm bawling my eyes out. And I tell him that I got a scholarship, and he hugged me, and I kept crying. I was so happy because for 2 years I was doing two-a-days with that screen and strength trainer I was telling you
Mhm.
about. I was up at 5 in the morning before school, and I'd get an hour and a half workout in the morning before we would go have wrestling or football practice in the afternoon, and doing that for 2 years straight. And I didn't go to high school dances. I didn't do normal, I guess, high school kid stuff. It's the only thing I wanted was to get a Division I scholarship. I told my friends when I went the same time I told my dad. They laughed at me and didn't believe me, and they didn't even know what it was. And they was like, there's no way. And um, this sacrifices the amount of time that I put in to go get noticed or get a Division I scholarship, and I guess the scrutiny or the doubt that other people had. Um, definitely fueled me. And like I said, with the sacrifices that I had, not being a normal high school kid and just focusing on getting this, and all that culminated into that moment. And I was just an explosion of emotion came out, and I was crying. I was so happy. And um, that was the end of my sophomore summer. And then I think a week later, I committed and never really looked back. Junior year, I had another really good year and went to the state playoffs and lost or junior year, I think we made it to the second or third round, and then my senior year had another really good year, made it to the state championship. Unfortunately, lost, got a runner up, but got to play in Memorial Stadium, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And
I bet.
and then my junior year in wrestling, I won state, and then I left early my senior year, so to come to college, and the rest is history, man. Got there, and here I am now. So it was a crazy. Looking back on it, it was a crazy journey. It was super cool to have everything happen like it did, and have the support that I did from the people that did believe in me, and just the amount of sacrifices and time that I put in was an ungodly amount, but it was definitely worth it. And I got to here where I am today, so it was worth it.
Hey, so at the time, who was the coach when you got there as a freshman? Was it Riley or was it Frost?
It was Riley at the time, and I remember
Okay.
when I told my parents this, they were looking at different colleges, because they like, if they went to Nebraska, that's great, but they said go somewhere where you love and it feels like home. And they started looking at different coaches, and at the time, Coach Frost was at UCF, and they slid the papers at UCF across the table, and they're like, do you know who Scott Frost is? And I was like, I mean, a little bit. And they started telling me about him and how he's coaching UCF and doing a phenomenal job. And I should definitely look into that college and different things like that. But yeah, it was that whole recruitment process. I didn't get, like I said, I got the offer from Nebraska, and I committed a week later. So, and being a Nebraska kid, I think a lot of schools recognize. Like I got letters and different I calls to visit from like Stanford. Got some from Wisconsin. Got a lot from Notre Dame. I got Iowa. I got a lot of really good schools that wanted me to come and be a part of the program. But Nebraska was home for me. I felt it. It was just kind of a gut feeling. No, I didn't. I didn't really want to play anywhere else. It wouldn't have mattered, or I wouldn't have cared that much, in the sense of, when either we win or lose, it would mean so much more to me if I was on Nebraska than another team. Just because I'm raised from Nebraska, and the history that I have with my parents. If I would have went to somebody else, yes, I would have still cared. But it's just that the deep level founded roots in me from pretty much my existence is from Nebraska. So it was awesome. It was an awesome experience, and I don't regret anything at all. And it was really cool, that whole recruitment process.
I bet.
Nice. So you get to Nebraska, and Mike Riley's the coach. They switch Riley gets fired. They hire Frost.
Mm-hmm.
You've been there for a year. I mean, talk about that. It sounds like from an outside perspective, you look, prepared, through all the adversity you faced growing up. But what was it like being a freshman, going to Nebraska? That's your dream school. And then all the, the switching coaches and all that.
So it was my senior year in high school where they fired Mike Riley and hired Coach Frost.
Okay.
That was what was funny about it was, the papers, my mom and dad slid across. They're like, hey, you should check out Coach Frost. And I was like, oh, really? And then all of a sudden he gets hired by Nebraska. And I'm like, oh, well, no, I don't have to go to Florida now, I guess. But
Yeah.
so that was funny how that worked out. And, I didn't really, when the coaches were transitioning out and the new ones were coming in, I didn't really hear anything. I was getting nervous. I was like, man, I wonder if I still have my scholarship, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know if they're going to like me. Like, I'm just, sitting there freaking out, in the dark about, what's going to happen. And finally I was in the weight room. I can't remember when it was. It was before I left early. I think it was probably, oh gosh, I can't remember what month, but Coach Benson, my high school coach, came up to the weight room and he was like, "Hey man, you got a call from Coach Frost." And I ran over there and I got it. And I started talking to him and, heard great things. They're like, "Hey man, what's up?" And I'm like, "Oh, what's up, coach? Great to talk to you." And he was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I know you're probably freaking out, but we just needed some time to transition and kind of look at our commits or our recruiting class." And he was like, "Yeah, we really like you. We really love how you play football, and I can't wait to meet you in person. You seem like a great kid, and just saying really, really good things." And I was pumped up. I was a huge weight off my shoulders that they, my offer still stood. They loved me as a player and as a person, and so plan A was still on, which I was a big fan of. So that was cool. And then I left early, like I said, in high school, and started in the spring, and was there for his whole coaching stint. And the ups and downs of everything was crazy. But that dark period in high school where I was like, oh my God, like how emotional I got when I got it. And now I don't know if it's still there. Like it was a huge. I was worried, but it was awesome to get that phone call and him say those things. A huge weight off my shoulders.
So did you start right away on the field, or did it take you like a year or two to get in the starting rotation?
So when I left early because I wanted to play as a freshman. I wanted to play. I believed in. I had the capability of play a decent amount of snaps. Defense and special teams. And I wanted my black shirt as a freshman. So I went there, and I thought my best chance to do that was to go there early. And spring did winter conditioning and went into spring ball, and I was rolling into too deep and the whole time, and sometimes even got some 1 reps and trying to learn and memorize as much as I can, and then all of a sudden just get hit with this gut punch pretty much. My position coach at the time, Coach DeWitt, Hovan DeWitt, brought all us into the meeting room, and he sat us down and he was like, "Boys, I can't. I'm not going to be coaching you guys this spring." And we were like, "Why?" He was like, "I just found out that I have stage 4 cancer, and I can't. I have to go take care of that, obviously." And that was heavy news to hear. I left that meeting. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know who was going to coach us. I didn't know if he was going to be okay. I didn't know. Went through spring. Coach Chin's, or the DC, he kind of took over our position because he coached it before with the Eagles and the different colleges he was at, and started coaching us. And Coach DeWitt, during his chemo, he would come back, and he didn't have any hair. His beard was gone, and his skin was all flaky, and he just couldn't talk because it was throat cancer. He couldn't talk because his vocal cords were so messed up. He lost so much weight, and he still showed it. When he could, he still showed up and tried to coach us. And it was, I can't believe that he could, or how he even did it. The only thing he wanted to do was be out there with us during that whole process, which was, I couldn't, hearing his story of what was going on during his recovery and his treatment was, it gets me emotional. I've cried several times just telling the story to people, or just, when he told us when he came back, after he beat it, and this whole, how he, survived and beat the stage 4 cancer, and they gave him 6 months to live, and he beat it. He's an incredible human being. He's an incredibly tough human being, and but yeah, hearing that story, makes me very emotional. But he coached when he could, and Coach Chin's coached us when we could, and going through spring ball, had a really, really good spring ball. Stayed healthy and got a good amount of reps on trying to stand out anywhere I could in special teams and defensive snaps and schemes. Obviously, I had no idea what I was doing. I was a freshman. I was out there running with my head cut off pretty much, but I was always around the ball, and I was always running as fast as I could. So that's pretty much 80% of it. And obviously the coaches like that, and they, you know, they told me they're like, yeah, you're definitely you're gonna play this fall. So I go through summer conditioning. Fall comes around. Had a good, a little bit familiar with the scheme and system and how to kind of do college now, and had a really good freshman fall camp, and um, feeling good where at the position I'm at. I'm not blowing calls anymore. I'm not dropping what I'm should be rushing. I'm not rushing what I should be dropping. I'm, feeling blocks and playing blocks and making plays, and so I was feeling good. I was feeling confident. And then going into the season, I had mainly, if I remember correctly, I had a mainly special teams role. I played pretty much almost every special teams, and then got some defensive snaps in the early games when you were up a lot. And then as the season went on, we had some issues with the seniors in our outside linebacker room, and I got thrown into the fire pretty much and played a ton of defensive snaps, and still played special teams, but I played a lot of defensive snaps as a freshman in very critical situations. I have film, and Coach Dawson, the new position coach that I'll tell you about later, he always brings up the plays when I was a freshman that I completely blew, and Indiana got a first down or Iowa got a first down, and he was like, "Yeah, remember when you lost us this game?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." Like, just making mistakes, like I said, I just making mistakes as a freshman in the Big Ten. Just playing in the Big Ten as a freshman is incredible. Incredible. So. That's that you don't hear that a lot, and I'm not saying that I'm like this incredible, like, oh yeah, like I made terrible mistakes, and I got pummeled into the ground, and I gave up gaps, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just, my first time being out there, but I had a standard to uphold after that fall camp. I wanted my black shirt as a freshman, and they gave it to me, and I can't remember if I was the first one, and since I think it was 2014 or something like that. And so I had a standard to uphold, and I didn't let that get me down. You can eat yourself away at the mistakes you make, and you feeling like you let down your team for not making that tackle or giving up this gap or making this mistake and losing the game. You can just eat you alive, and it did. But I couldn't let it. So I kept showing up to work and kept being myself and kept trying to get better and just kept going and going and going and going. And played decently at the end of my freshman year, and then led into my sophomore year where I was a starter in my position room and a leader in my position room, and I started sophomore, junior, and I guess junior again because of the whole COVID thing. But yeah, it's just it was crazy how fast it went and how much I learned, how quickly, and I stepping into that leadership role and stepping into a playing role so young into my career, and using my red shirt. So it was like I said, I learned so much, and through so much adversity that I could talk to you guys about for however many hours, but we're limited to this very small podcast. But just learning so much so quickly from other leaders on the team, from DCAP and JoJo and Ben Stilley and guys like that have teach me how to lead and practice and go through adversity and be disciplined and consistent, just like my brothers and my parents did.
Wow. Quite the memories, and just going forward, as Nebraska had its up and downs over the years, a lot of people say, Garett Nelson was not just the face of the defense, but face of the program. And how did you obviously you grew in your leadership skills, how did you grow over the years, and who were some of those? I mean, I bet you guys got a deeper relationship through those tough times, or were there specific players, specific coaches too, that you guys really leaned on each other?
Yeah. So when my freshman year ended, Coach DeWitt came to us. He beat the cancer and everything, which was, thank God. And I'm so happy that he did. And he's with his family. And doing really good now. He told us, he's like, I'm going to North Carolina because they have a great cancer, what my cancer was. They have a great center for that. And I just want to be close to that with my family. And everybody was like 100% understandable. Yeah, go take care of yourself and be with your family and get as many tools and facilities as you need to be healthy and continue to fight your cancer. And so he went to North Carolina, and I believe he's at FIU right now, and he's doing a great job in coaching his ass off, which is cool. And then Coach Dawson, who was the defensive line coach before I got to college, and then he left for, I think it was the Eagles or the Giants, and then he came back, and he was the outside linebackers coach. So my sophomore year, he was my coach, and he's this Northeast Boston, he's Massachusetts guy, huge personality and big dude and super projecting voice. And I was walking around the facility, thinking that I'm this and that, and I have to be this leader, and I'm telling dudes what to do and da 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 da, and in a not good way at all. I wasn't being a leader. I was like being a boss pretty much. And he showed me what true love meant, because you can think of love of like giving a person a hug or kindness or like supporting them, but true love is telling things to people or the person you love that they don't necessarily want to hear, because that's a real thing. And that he taught me what that was. We had several talks and several times where he was telling me, like, Garrett, empty barrels make the most noise. You're being a bully. You're doing this. Like, this is how you lead. This is how you teaching me so much about just being a better leader and a better person, as well as just being a phenomenal football coach. He taught me every little thing about the game that I could possibly imagine. He took it to such a level that's such an elite level that I can't thank him enough for it. But mostly just personally, teaching me how to be a great leader, and teach me how to be a great teammate, and how to deal with conflict and lead guys appropriately, and when to talk and how to talk, and when to use my voice and when not to, and the things to say and how you say it. It was just constant. The learning from him was unbelievable. And like I said, he just took my game those next 3 years to a level that it's unbelievable. So I can't thank him enough for just that, because it's hard to have conflict with people. It's hard to tell them things they don't want to hear. You don't know how they're going to respond. And he taught me how to do that. And using my leadership skills, when something came up on the team, or a guy in our position group or a guy on the team wasn't doing things correctly, like it was taught me how to talk to him and how to get them realigned, or how to kind of realize a bigger picture, and also just the interpersonal relationships I have because of that. When you tell people that, and they kind of have time to receive it and process it and kind of understand what it does for them, they're like, oh, this guy really does care about me. He wants me to be better. He doesn't want me to stay at this place, or keep being a detriment. Then that's kind of where those relationships started to build very early for me on the team. And yeah, I had my best friends on the team, and that's everything. But the guys that weren't so much in that inner circle of how do I connect with them and show how important Nebraska or this game or this drill or this is to me in a good way, in a way that's I don't come off as a fake leader or a faker, or
that's big.
People see better than they hear, so I could be telling people something and then I go do something else. That's not a real leader, dude. So
right.
He taught me so much, and when I mentioned Ben Staley and DCAP and JoJo Doman, learning how to lead as well from them, just on the player side of everything, and how all the dynamics and levels of the team work. It was kind of getting that respect from players and just biding my time, and I was so eager to step into this role, but they just kept I just kept buying my time. They told me to be patient. This is how you do this. You're at this spot right now. This is what you can control, and this is what you can do in your spot to maximize it. When you get another year experience, or you do this on the field, then you can have this bigger. This is when you'll step into that spot, and then you can start to have that level of respect. And they're just kind of telling me the whole process of everything. Which was huge, and kind of I was so eager and ready to and future driven to step into this role that they just kept tugging on the leash, and they're like, no, not yet, be patient. This is what you can control right now. So I really can't thank the former players, former black shirts, former captains, Coach Dawson, Coach Chins, those guys enough, and all the GAs. I had a phenomenal GA my junior year, Marcel, and then Coach Brim, all those guys telling me how to earn respect and be a true leader and show people instead of telling people, and how to, just so many different details of leading, and so many different levels that I didn't understand, when I was in high school or even as a freshman in college, of how to lead, men at a university, at a Power 5 school, with all these different levels of dynamics coming into one team. So it was that was another huge, not even just with the football process, but that process of just personal growth in that leadership role, and also just as a person. It was a great journey to go on, and I am the person I am because of it today, and I seriously can't thank all those guys enough.
Yeah. Talk about kind of like, your time in Nebraska, it probably didn't turn out how you planned. Like you guys, had some struggles with, Frost leaving and everything. How did that affect you, and how did you deal with that in the leadership role? Just going through coaches and all the, outside noise from all that, or what you guys went through.
Yeah, and like you said, Jake, being called, people coming up to you and being like, "Hey, man, you're the face of the program. You're like, you are Nebraska." I put all that on me. I put all the weight of everything on me. Growing up and watching Nebraska and seeing the Pelini era, and seeing the Mike Riley era, and seeing the success and failures they had, and just the turmoil that Nebraska's been going through for so many years. My life, I just was like, man, I want to fix it. I want to get there, and I want the state to be proud again. I want this team to be great again. I want this place to feel like it did and be like it was. So I just kind of had that idea ingrained in me as a kid, that once when I get there and I can be a leader, I can help, I can do something. So when it was time, and I was stepping into that leadership role, and starting to be called these things, like, I bared so much of that weight, the pressure of Coach Frost's job, and the relationships I built with all my coaches, that they wanted them to stay. So it's on us as players to do every single thing so overcritically correct, making sure that everybody on the team is doing exactly what they need to do and more, and outside and inside of football, and just kind of wearing myself so thin, trying to be so many places all at once, and control things that are not necessarily in my control. And I just it wore on me. But it was weight that I wanted at the time, because I wanted to help, and then being named captain with Nick and Caleb and Travis, they felt the same way, and they were doing the same things, and wearing themselves super thin, and helping each other in this team to where we're at. And also another dynamic was me as my player, my career projection. Like, my sophomore year, at the end of my sophomore year, Chins came to me and he was like, "Hey, man, I really think you can go play in the NFL." And I never even really, like, Nebraska was it. Like, I was like, I'm gonna go play, college football in Nebraska, and then, I'm gonna go, like, start a family or something, So when he told me that, I was like, man, like, I can, same thing in high school. And I got the offer at Nebraska. So, man, I can go do this thing. Like I can, So I had a really good sophomore year, and it was going into my junior year, and I just was like, I need to have a really good year, and I was putting so much pressure on. I need to get this many sacks and just numbers that aren't in my control, at all. Same thing with leadership and making sure everything was right for the whole year and getting the whole team involved and how to focus and do everything correctly and how much it meant to play at this place and building the relationships on defense and offense. And, we have a new defense with new guys on the field. So making sure everything's right with them and how we play football and everything. So going into the season had huge expectations personally and for the team. There's a lot of pressure on us because, Frost is on the hot seat and we can't lose games, and we just put so much pressure on ourselves. And obviously, as the first 3 or 4 games went on, and him getting let go, Oklahoma week was just everything just came, that all that weight that I was holding just came down and just crushed me. I didn't know how to handle it. I was lost. I had no idea. I was walking around. I didn't, nothing. I didn't really care about anything. I really didn't like being around anybody or being in the stadium. Like I was depressed. I just didn't know. I just moped around and, the first time in my life when we started practicing, the first time in my life, I was on the football field during practice and I was just like, what am I doing out here? Like everything that I did my whole life was for nothing. Like, this was it. This was my college career. I got my head coach fired and, everybody's going to remember this time as the worst time. And, this is all on me because I'm the leader and the captain, and I'm going to be looked at as this, somebody that wasn't meant for this role. And I wasn't, I thought I was ready and I thought I was meant for this and I'm not. And I had so much self-deprecating and I lost, the negative momentum, this lost confidence in myself over the years and in the sense of what was going on with the team and as a player and just all the doubts and everything just completely crushed me. And I just like, man, I can't do this. I'm not the leader. I'm not this person I thought I was. I'm just completely, self-destructing. And I remember Dr. Haskell, who's a sports psychologist, that was during Oklahoma week. She came up to me and I've seen her around the building and we've done some mental training and stuff with her as a group. And, I didn't really know her like I do now, but she came up to me after practice and I must have looked terrible because she was like, hey, you should come see me in my office. I was like, okay. And yeah, man, after practice, I went in there and I sat down and she was like, you look pretty uncomfortable. And I was like, yeah. He was like, why? And I was just like, she was like, you didn't want to come in here, did you? And I was like, no, I didn't at all. And she was like, why? And I was like, I'm probably going to break down. I just don't want to appear weak. Cause my idea of strength was, being this emotionless, like nothing can get to me. Man that, like I said, with like my dad or my parents, they were so independent. They fixed all their problems. They seemed to fix all their problems by themselves. They didn't need help from anybody. They were these superheroes. The same thing with my brothers. So my head, like I can fix these problems by myself. I don't need anybody's help. I'm not going to ask for help. I'm this strong, tough man. I don't need help. And that's not the case at all. And I told her that, and we, for I think probably 2 hours in that office, I was just bawling my eyes out, talking to her about everything, and just had a huge, pretty much come to Jesus moment with her. And I got the strangest compliments. It was kind of funny. She called me a kamikaze pilot, and I didn't really know. I was like, I knew what they were. I didn't know why she was calling me that. And she was like, you would give 100% of yourself to the cause that you believe in. Like you will die for the cause. And that's what you did. You died for Nebraska. It doesn't make you any less of a warrior that you died. It makes you more of one because you died for something that you believed in. You did everything that you could You know, you were so focused on these accolades of being an All-American or being the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, or getting this many sacks, and having these titles and accolades that when and you're so future driven, you were never present and mindful of how cool this experience is with playing at Nebraska and being in Memorial Stadium and going through your college career and just your college experience and how awesome that time is in your life. You were so worried about helping Frost keep his job, and how making sure Nebraska's back to where it was, and you have a great team, and you never were really present the whole time, and that she was right. I wasn't. I was so focused on winning that I never really was able to look around and appreciate everything and the relationships that I built, and how through all this adversity, all these these down seasons and all the stuff that happened throughout the years, to keep this team together and keep guys as close as they were, and keep them playing as hard as they can in practice and then in games. She was like, that's something that's what you should be proud of, not these accolades and these titles that you're chasing, because that's what they are. They're titles. They're a medal that you put on your desk and you don't really even think about or whatever. What really matters is, and what really is real, is the relationships you have and what you built with everybody, and the impact you had on your coaches and your teammates. These coaches and these guys are going to remember you forever, for as the person you are, and the integrity and the work and ethic that who you are. That's what they're going to remember. They're going to be talking to their kids about you, and remembering you. And of course, I'm sitting there just streaming tears, and I'm just like just completely breaking down, and having this whole process, just processing everything, because I compartmentalized everything, for years of to just keep putting my nose down and just keep working and grinding and don't even think about it. Just keep going, put one step in front of the other. It's just, I never had time I didn't talk about anything. So it just all came out with her, and she's pretty much, she saved my career and pretty much my life.
Yeah.
And it completely changed my perspective on football and on life, and how everything is. Put football back in a good relationship with myself mentally. I was so much more appreciative and grateful and present with, being at practice or being around my teammates, and being at Nebraska, being in college, making a play or not, you still, good emotions are great, or good feelings are great, but you also have to deal with the ones that are bad, missing a play or not doing something correctly, or missing an easy assignment, or like, oh God, that was such an easy tackle. I can't believe I missed that. You're you beat up yourself so much. You're your biggest critic. Like, it's, yeah, those mistakes that you make, you shouldn't just be, oh, whatever, but that's just not caring. Like, you should care. Yeah, I made the mistake, but you shouldn't be so hard on yourself that you just start self-deprecating. You just go into this hole. You just have to process that emotion and those feelings, and just mentally reset, and then you're back to who you are. And then, just with life, with the friendships and the relationships I built with my best friends that live in this house now, and the guys on the team that I'm going to remember forever and tell my kids about, not even just on the team, but also with the coaches and the impact I made on my teammates and my coaches, that hopefully they'll remember me as a player, that was one of their favorite, one of the, stuck out in some way, whether it be, some funny story, or some me being a goofball, or some football thing where I'm working as hard as I can, and they remember that, or the leader I was, or anything like that. Just the impact, positive impact I made on them. That's what's real, and what carries through for years, and much farther past my life. And I started putting an emphasis on that, and I felt like I could breathe again. I played better. I felt better. I appreciated everything. I just had such a much happier life because I actually realized what life and happiness was. I just was in this small box of, this is what life is, and this is how you achieve happiness because of these achievements and accolades that you get. This is going to make me happy, and that's not what it is at all. And she opened my eyes to that, and it completely changed everything. And instead of getting nervous about stuff, I just realized how cool of an experience it is. Like this whole process of trying to go in the NFL, you can sit there looking at the very daunting task, or you can just be grateful and how cool of an experience I get to go through that people dream about. This is so cool. I get to talk to all these professional teams and coaches and scouts and do all these cool things. It just kind of alleviates some of the nervousness out of everything. And, you just appreciate the experience more, and it just makes you relax, and it's a much more enjoyable journey instead of being so tense and trying to control everything when things are 90% of stuff in your life is out of control. And you can only you just control the controllables, and you focus your energy on that. And I wish I would have learned that, because I spread myself so thin with trying to control things that were outside my control, and I didn't realize at the time. If I just would have focused on things I could, I would have felt better. I would have had more energy. I would have, been a happier person, because I thought everything was my fault. Coach getting fired, this happened and that happened to the team, losing this game. Just everything I was putting on myself. But realizing that, when you control the controllables and you master that, you have a much happier journey and experience and fulfillment of the relationships and the process that you have during everything.
Yeah, wow. I'm sure that weight affected you all aspects of your life, from your social life to school to family to everything.
Yeah.
And to be all that and to see all it now and to reflect like, wow, my time in Nebraska, winning wise, wasn't the best, but to like how grateful you are now and leading into being, going to the NFL draft. And so you want to share like what that is like now. You graduated from Nebraska, and next step is the NFL. And so, pro day coming up, are you able to contact, or NFL teams contacting you now, or what's that even process look like?
Yeah, this is probably the weirdest time. I've been told people that I've called or been in connection with, that are scouts or coaches from other places. This is the weirdest time, because like your whole life you've always been on a team. You've been on your Pee Wee team or your high school team or your college team, and now you're on no team. And you're not on scholarship, but you haven't signed a contract, so you're just kind of in this limbo, and you don't really know what's going to happen. The draft process, the prospect process, how they select people, who they don't, who they do, the journey of the different NFL journeys people have. Nobody really knows anything of what's going on. It's not a perfect system. It's not in any way predictable at all. But it's this weird dark period that, you may get contacted, you may not. It's strange. But yeah, scouts will reach out, or position coaches will reach out, or head coaches, or director of college scouting, for these different professional teams will reach out through either your agent, or they'll usually through your agent, how to get your phone number. Or they might just find it somehow. And they either text you, or they set up a meeting, or you'll do you'll go into a position room and do board work and draw plays and talk football, and they'll just try to see your football knowledge. You do these weird mental tests with buttons, and you're trying to decide which the middle arrow out of the 4 arrows is going to right, but the left button is right, and you have to. It's such a strange. It's weird. It is. It's the best way I describe it. It's just a really weird process. You do these 5-6 mental tests, and then you go over to an interview with scouts, and on top of that, you're training, trying to get as fast as you can for the 40 and pro agility and the 3 cone. You try to jump as high as you can. You're eating as clean as possible. You're trying to you're lifting. And you might get a call one day, you might not, or this person reaching out, they're setting up a meeting. It's crazy. It's a crazy process. So That's like I said, if I didn't have the attitude or the mindset that I did now, I would be so like, oh my gosh, who's going to call me? Like, am I going to get a meeting? Do people like me? Am I going to make
Yeah.
it? There's times you have those thoughts, but just you go back to, that core and that foundation that you have of like, just relax. This is a sweet process, dude. Like, just being yourself, like you'll be okay. Like it's just anything you do, interview or a drill on the field or, a 40 or pro agility, just go be yourself. Cause that's the easiest, most relaxing thing you can do. Cause if you can't fake, being something for this long, you have to just, I'm okay. Everything's going to be okay. And, just going through that whole crazy, people coming at you from every angles, and it's really exciting because it's the NFL and like, oh my gosh, I never even imagined. So it's awesome. It's and like I said, scouts and coaches can call you and they're like, hey, you want to meet this day, or you want to go on a Zoom call, or get a phone call and just talk to you, and they'll ask you questions like what you guys are doing, like what's your background. What your parents do? Do you have brothers? Do you have sisters? Did you play this long? How did you play this? What's your injury report? What's your weight progression? Why didn't you play this game? What happened on this play? Ask from anything from that to like weird questions of like, what do you want on your headstone? Or like, would you rather have like, a blackberry or a blueberry? And it's just like, it's just
so many little details. Wow.
It's just so strange what people ask or what you do. But it's all a mad science. But like I said, they mostly those weird questions. You just kind of want to see how you react and just kind of get a little bit of personality out of you. So, and that just goes back to just be yourself. Like just respond how you would normally respond, dude. It's they're either going to like you or not, and it's just it is what it is, and it only takes one team to really like you, and all of a sudden you're going first round, or you're going second or third, or you're drafted or not drafted. It's just it's great. It's the whole thing. But and then after pro day, teams can like fly you out for a weekend, and you'll have dinner, and they'll do like a little personal workout, or they'll show you around and then do an interview or do a medical check on you or whatever. So and they'll do that until you draft day, and then that's when they pick everybody.
That's cool. That's a really cool process you're getting go through.
Yeah.
What is it like? Only like 1% get to play college sports, and now you go to the pros. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think it's like 1% goes to play college, and then like a 0.1 or 0.01% go to the NFL or something like that. So, just being at just that. I don't really like to focus on statistics and stuff like that. I feel like Hans never tell me the odds,
right.
So I don't try to dive too much into that, man. I'm just do the right things and just be a kind person, and just like I said, just be yourself, and that'll take you farther in what you think in life.
Just a sweet I mean, just to be able to have a chance at being drafted or being picked up by an NFL team. I mean, that's just awesome.
Just a training process.
Right. Like you are thankful you get to go through this process.
I will have these memories and this experience for the rest of my life. Like whether I go and get drafted, at this place, and I have, a Hall of Fame career, or I don't get drafted and I make it to a team, and, things don't work out, and all of a sudden I'm done playing football. Like no matter what, I'll have these experiences that I can tell people, so that's more valuable than anything.
So outside of football, what would you like to do like someday?
That's a great question. I go back and forth. Like we were talking about with high school football. It'd be cool to be a coach or just somebody on a team. And, like I said, besides my dad, I didn't have an avenue of how to do this football thing and get to this level. So I would love to be able to do that for kids. And just kind of be that avenue and that knowledge of sharing them, or, I don't know. I just love being outdoors. I could go be a hunting and fishing guide, or I could go surf. I want to learn how to sail or be on a boat, or do something. I just love being outside, and, wherever that leads me. It'd be awesome to be a high school coach. And, help those kids out and just have that, those Friday night lights feelings of, these kids and
Yeah.
helping them make memories. So that'd be super cool.
Surfing doesn't sound bad
No,
either.
yeah.
If you could,
man.
Growing, I was in Florida, and now I'm just thinking about surfing now. Yeah, it's funny, but it's so I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea where life's going to lead me. So this, like I said, this is
That's the fun part about it.
that's what's exciting about it. Can't be scared of it. So, like I said, with this whole NFL process, like I don't know how. I know who I am, and I know how I play football and how I handle everything. So, that's that recipe for success is what I have just naturally as a person. So, I can sit here and think like, oh, I'm going to play for this long because I'm but I have no idea what's going to happen. That's what it's exciting about it. Same thing with life. When I'm done playing football, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. So that's what's cool about it.
So what are you doing?
Definitely.
So there's got to be a little bit of life. I mean, a little bit of life outside of training right now. What are you up to?
Just out besides hanging out with we just played poker last night, won $20, so that was big.
Nice.
But going golfing or going hunting and fishing, or I'm hanging out with my girlfriend, or I love being around people. That's kind of where I get my life and my soul. So wherever we're doing, that's we go on drives, or after pro day we'll go get ice cream because
Nice.
I've been for 3 months, and I've been dying just to get a greasy hamburger and a blizzard or something, dude. I've been dying. I can't wait. But just going on drives and doing that, or we love this golfing. That was fun too. But yeah, man, just doing anything with people is my favorite. I don't care what we do, but as long as I'm with my best friends, I'll have a blast no matter what.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining us today, Garrett.
Dude, this is I've been looking forward to talking to you again, man. I missed you. So this was super cool, and I'm super honored to be a part of this and hear your guys' stories. When I hear of stories like you guys and what you've built your life out of, and hearing the adversity you went through, it just kind of puts it everything in perspective for me, and a 20,000 foot view of just life and my journey, your guys' journey, and just the relationships that we built and how we came together. So it's just it's super awesome to hear to be here, first of all, but also just to connect with you guys and hear your stories. So I appreciate you even thinking about me putting on here.
Yeah, we're excited
to
see what's in store for you going forward, man. Who knows in the next couple of months? So looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're definitely rooting for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I hope I'm making you guys proud. So thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I bet that was a good way to end your career, though, to beat Iowa.
Oh,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, that was sick.
That was awesome,
so
right?
Cool,
yeah.
Yeah. That was so cool, man.
That's great.
That was dope. That was awesome. So I appreciate it, dude.
Man. All right, man. Thanks for joining us on Be Unexpected.